Guys, in today's video we're going to learn how to make this cute polar bear cake topper. So I've got some white Saraceno and I'm just going to roll the body first. So you're kind of looking for an oval shape and teardrop it a little bit so it comes to a point. The point bit's going to be where the neck is. You're going to mark a line in across and that's just going to be for the belly. And then push 2 armholes in at the top. I'm going to take some more fondant, we're going to roll some legs. So again, they want to be bigger at the bottom and smaller at the top. So you're just going to tape that in with your fingers till you've made the foot. I've got one of these really handy serrat tools that I'm just going to use to create the lines in for the toes. So it's just 2 lines just to give it the sort of like effect that it's got feet. I'm going to chop it off at an angle, so you're going to measure it at the side of the body. The legs don't want to be too long. I'm going to chop it off at an angle, and then that's going to stick on to the bottom of the body where it should be kind of flat there where you've pressed it in. And you're going to do the same for the other side for another leg. And so it's got 2 legs and it's going to be sat like that. And you can bend them in a little bit if you don't want them to stick straight out. Cocktail stick through the body. This is just so that we could stick the head on. At this kind of size they won't need any internal support really, it's just literally to stick the head on. So same as we did for the feet, but this time instead of flattening it against your mat, you're just going to nip it between your 2 fingers and that's going to create a paw. It's going to make it flat a little bit and tapered in. Again, with the serrat tool, marking in the paws. And again, just like the feet, you're going to chop it at an angle and then stick it to the body. So just smoothing over where you've taken it, and bending it slightly and then just pushing it in place. So I've put one arm down at the side and one arm resting on the leg. Later on we'll move the one that's resting on the leg, so don't glue it down. Now we're going to just do his fluffy little tail, so just a ball and some scissors, and we're just going to cut at that and then just push it onto the back of the body near the bottom. Now I've not used any water so far to stick any of this down. For the head, I'm going to roll a ball and then you're just going to play with it until you can push out a sort of like a little bit of a nose area. Doesn't have to be too neat, but you just want it to come out a little bit further than the rest of the face. Just flattening down at the side so you can see how I've created that little bit of a ledge area there. That's going to be the snout. Just smoothing over where you've pressed in. So with your knife, a straight line, and then I've got a Dresden tool. I'm just going to create an opening for the mouth, and then to make the bear look like it's smiling, I'm just going to lift up the corners, and with the bigger part of the Dresden tool you're going to create an indentation for the nose. So for the nose, a black blob of fondant, and you're just going to squeeze it between your finger and thumb. Tiny little bit of water to stick that on. And then we're just going to make 2 eye holes, and you're going to make them to be an oval shape rather than round. And then we're just going to pop some black blobs in there. I must apologise for my voice today, it's the beginning of December and I've got a bit of a cold. So you're just going to push those into place. Next we're going to do the ears, so just some of your white fondant into a ball. We're going to make them roughly about the same size and then just press them down with your finger at the bottom. And then I'm just using the Dresden tool to make a line in the middle, and then we're going to join those 2 up. And the same with the other side, and we're just going to pinch it a little bit. Now I want the ears to be droopy rather than stood up, but it's up to you how you want to do it. I just think it looks cuter with a bit of a droopy ear. Sticking those on with a little bit of water. So once you're happy with the head, I'm going to pop that on the body, just pushing it into place. Now I'm not going to add water to this because I'm going to put on a little scarf that will hold the head in place. once you've done that, I'm just going to make a little bit of hair to go on the top. So rolling out a teardrop shape and flattening it, and then we're just going to cut it twice and then roll those bits to a point. And we're just going to pop this on the top of the head. I've got a Dresden tool and I'm just going to use that to blend in that area there, so you can see I'm pushing down with a little bit of force and then just smoothing that over with my finger. We're going to make the whites of the eyes, so you want one that's bigger than the other, so one big one, one small one, and they do need to be fairly small. If you look at how small they are on this chopping board, you could paint them on with sugar flare white if you wanted to, if you found that easier. I just find this way easier because you can push them into place rather than once it's on you've got to clean it off to redo it if it went wrong. You're going to do the same with the other eye. And then I've got some blue fondant, but you could pick whatever colour that you wanted. Just going to roll it fairly thin into a strip and make it maybe just under 1 centimetre in width, and we're just going to chop either side just to create the effect of a scarf really. Flip it over and do the other side, although you're not actually going to see one side, so you really don't need to do both sides. And then if you just a bit of water around the neck and wrap it around, just pushing it into place, making sure one side's tucked over, and let the other side dangle down. So there is Papa Polar Bear. I've got some dusts and I'm just going to dust his cheeks with some pink, and then I've got some black, and I'm just going to put that in between his paws, his mouth, and that's it. Yeah, just the paws and the mouth. You could use black or you could use dark grey depending on how heavy-handed you are. If you're quite heavy-handed, I would suggest using the grey. And just before we finish with this one, we're just going to give him some eyebrows. So just really small pieces of black fondant again. You could, if you wanted to, draw these on, but again, it's just my preference because you can, you know, make them the same size. You can put them on the face. You can move them if needed to make them match more, rather than drawing it on in black and then having to take it off if you've gone wrong. Now the eyebrows can really change the expression, so I'm going to go for quite rounded ones. You can see when they go on they're quite straight and he looks a bit angry, but you just press it down and then, you know, I just use my Dresden tool just to bend them into shape. So that's him finished. Next we're going to do Mummy Bear. Now she's leaning in, so we're going to do the same kind of oval shape, but we're going to put her bum out to the side rather than to the back. Cocktail stick going through the body. I thought the normal one was going to be too long, but it wasn't. So we're going to do the leg the same as before, so kind of like a long teardrop shape. You're going to flatten the foot of it on your mat, and then we're just going to put one leg resting over. So again, cutting it at an angle, marking in the feet, and you can see there it's just resting over to make it look like she's kind of laid on her side rather than sat straight up. We're going to just do the paw for the other foot, and that's going to fit in between like that. Okay, next we're going to work on her face. Now I've speeded this up a little bit because it's very similar to the one that I've just done, and I didn't want you to get bored while you were watching it. But you need to roll the same shape. If you've made the head too big, you can chop off the excess at the bottom, just like I did. Check the size of the head against the body that you've made, marking in some eye sockets with your fingers, and just generally trying to get a similar shape to what you've got for the Papa Bear. We're going to mark in the mouth exactly the same way as before with the Dresden tool, and using the Serrat tool just to pull up the corners of the mouth and mark in the bit in the middle. Dresden tool again for the nose. So we're going to make the nose and the nose in exactly the same way as we did before, the ears in the same way that we did before as well. So just smoothing over, making sure you've got rid of all your fingerprints, and we're going to point the chin a bit at the bottom for the mother bear. So again with the ears, you've got your two blobs, same size. Flatten them with your fingers. Always leave the top of it a bit fuller, I just think it makes it look a bit more natural. And you're going to pinch them together and then just stick on with a little bit of water. And then we're going to do some hair, and for this one we're going to twist it. So you're going to roll it to a bit of a point and then just twist your finger, leaving it just to dry on the side, just to firm up a little bit before you put it on. And you're just going to stick the top of them together, chop off any excess, and put that in the same place that we did for Papa Bear. For the nose, same way before, blobbing the fingers and moulding it into a triangle using your forethumb and finger on one hand and then the finger on the other. Now for this one we're going to do her eyes closed. So again, a similar shape to what we did for the hair, and you're just going to cut it off at an angle at one side, and we're going to push that on. And just using a little bit of water to stick it in place, not a lot, so you can see I took some of the excess off. And you could also use your brush to push it into place. Using the Dresden tool to flick it up at the one side, and you're going to do the same for the other side. So we're going to put this onto the body. Be careful not to dint the face when you're pushing it into place. And then we're going to make an arm for her. Now I've only done one arm at the start because I want to put her together with the other bear, and I didn't want that arm to get in the way. So again, the same as before, flattening one side and pushing in the paw. And this arm is going to sort of go along her side, so you have to cut it at an angle. And it comes over onto her belly, and you're just going to push that into place. So next we're going to take a smaller ball of white, roll it into a little bit of a teardrop shape, put your eye sockets in like before, and pull out a nose area. Now this one is going to be for the baby bear. Same exact shape that we did for Dad and Mum. Taking off the excess for the neck and pressing just to flatten the nose bit at the front there. So Dresden tool for the mouth, Serrat tool to make it wider and the bit up the middle, and then the Dresden tool for the nose. And just smoothing over the shapes that you've made. Ovals for the eyes. Now I just use the back of the paintbrush for this. So making the nose, same way that we've just done for the other two. And just a tiny little bit of water to hold that in place. Again for the eyes, two small black circles. Just pop them in, and if you need to, you can use your Dresden tool just to make them fill out the space that you've put. This one will need eyebrows because it's got its eyes open. So again, a tiny little bit of water, using the brush to pick those up and pop them on. Pointy side wants to come away from the face, thicker side in the middle, and just using your Dresden tool just to put them into a curved shape. So this one's got no body. We're just going to use the same method as before for the paws and cut them at an angle, and the head is going to be resting on the paws for this one. So keeping it quite thick because obviously it's going to support the head. You don't want the head to be all the way on the floor. So just playing around with it until you're happy. I found with the paws spread it was easier. So bringing in Papa Bear and then Mummy Bear. So I'm just chopping a bit of the head off the back just to bring that bear in a bit closer. Ears exactly the same way that we've done before, one on either side. Then there's Mummy Bear's other arm. So here's what you should have so far. So finally, just to finish it off, we're going to do the whites of the eyes for the baby bear. So again, 2 larger dots, 2 smaller dots, and just popping them in place. And then we're going to dust. So I've got, I'll put a link in the description box to the dust that I've used. But we've got a pink, which I've used for the cheeks, and then I've also used it for the insides of the ears. You don't want a lot, less is more with this one. So yeah, the cheeks and the insides of the ears, and then I've got the black that I've just done all of their mouths with and their in between their paws. And you could leave it like that if you wanted to, but I just thought to make it a little bit more Christmassy, I would make a Santa hat for the little baby polar bear. And so I just took some of my Renshaw's modelling paste and I rolled a cone, which I flattened at one side, chopped off the excess and then bent over the top just to make it look like it was, you know, a proper Santa hat. And just stuck my fingers inside just to bring it out a little bit so that it would sit properly on the head. Rolled out a little bit of white. Now the white's not gone all the way around because nobody would see the back of this one anyway because it's touching the mum and dad. And just using a brush to stipple that just to make it a bit more uneven and look like fur. And the same for the ball. And then we're just going to pop that on, just re-stippling it if you need to. And when you're finished, you should have something like this. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please hit the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment as well. And if you'd like to see some more of my tutorials, please click the links on the screen now. Thanks for watching.